You know, you mentioned special education, and I don't think there's a district that you read about or hear about or see on the news where the high cost of special education is certainly well known by the taxpayers all throughout the state. How has Ellington, which has a great reputation for the services it provides for special education, how's Ellington been able to provide a great education to special ed students while keeping the costs relatively low for taxpayers?
That's a great question. It's one of the main drivers of budgets, Board of Education budgets in the state. When you see these, we're at the 2.83% now. Right now, statewide average is well into the mid fives, closer to 6% in terms of their increases. A lot of that is driven by special education costs. There's not someone you talk to that doesn't know a child with autism or some sort of learning disability that costs a lot of money. A separate conversation could be, why is special education students being identified at such a high rate? That's a separate conversation for another day. Let's talk about costs right now. So we knew that a lot of the cost increases are due to outplacing of students into private institutions, private organizations that in many ways, quite frankly, if I'm being honest, are profiteering off of students with disabilities, and that's something that's being addressed right now at the legislature. I think you're going to see legislation coming out that's going to address some of that. But we've known this has been an issue for quite some time, and we know that we wanted to be able to provide a great education for our special needs students. Back in 2017, we worked with the Board of Finance to create a separate special revenue account where we could be able to generate revenue and from an ongoing basis use it to offset the special education costs in the Board of Education budget, in the operating budget, which is really what impacts the tax dollars, right? And so we created separate programs, right? If you go to Ellington Agway and you look across the street at the plaza over there, there's an Ellington education program right over there across the plaza, right? And so what we've been able to do is instead of outplacing students for hundreds of thousands of dollars, we've been able to keep them in district, which is a savings per child. We have now close to 70 students in our program. Now, here's the other thing we've done, is we wanted to help our neighbors. So you think about Vernon, South Windsor, Manchester, Stafford, Somers, all the surrounding towns that also have needs to outplace some of their students for programming. Well, we said, let's underbid the marketplace. Let's underbid the educational cost for these profiteering private organizations and say to Stafford, hey, you can send your kid here for cheaper. They'll be on a bus less time. You will get a tax break in Stafford because it's less cost, and we will take the revenue and dump it back into a program, which will also help our local taxpayers not pay as much. And so we've been able to create enough revenue to basically keep our special education costs in the $1 million range over the last 5 years. It's been a flat line because we've been able to kind of create these programs that are part of the school district, but not part of the Board of Education budget that impacts the mill rate, the taxpayers.
That's resourceful and creative, and clearly has been a benefit to the Ellington school system and the surrounding communities. You know, I think state government is always advocating for regionalization and sharing of services, and I think that's a great example. And,
yeah, absolutely.
It benefits all of everyone who's a taxpayer in the town of Ellington.